Going to be part 2 of C64 repair. In the part 1, I went basically over a visual inspection of the computer, the outer case and the motherboard, and found quite a few things wrong with it. Obviously, the case is in real bad condition, but I knew that buying it, I didn't plan on using the case. I was going to put this in another case. I just wanted the motherboard to repair to use as a video and have another working Commodore. A few things I want to go over. Let's see here. Some of the things shield came off of here, but all these plastic parts and screws are basically what came out of it. All this plastic and stuff was just floating around in here. A couple of screws were in here too. Just this case was beat, and some of the things I realized going through it, what I might need. At the end of the video, I noticed there was no fuse in here, so I wasn't sure if that was blown from a bad power supply or somebody just used it somewhere else, whatever. So I borrowed one from another computer. I got a couple ceramic capacitors in here. Those I found busted up here. Let me get my glasses here. So I had spares of these. These are the 104Zs, 25 volt. Yep, 104Z, 25 volt. So I'll have to replace those. A little screw in here for the metal shield here. It's missing one. I had a spare of those. And the letter T key plunger and spring I knew was missing on the keyboard when I bought it. So those are the few things I know I need to replace and fix, so set those aside. What I think I want to do today is I'm going to check the ICs in my test board, see how many are good. I'm sure there's one or two bad, usually are. I'm just hoping there aren't too many that are bad. That'll be expensive, replacing all of them. Replace fuse, obviously. I'll do some test voltages with the ICs out. I'll check the voltage regulators, the 5 volt and the 12 volt, make sure those aren't bad. Probably remove this RF shield, that's just in the way. And like I said, place these ceramic caps, and we'll see where we go from there. So let's get started. I think I'll start pulling out these IC chips. Let's start with the video chip. Those are in there tight. You hear those creaking. Oof. Okay. SID chip. Those are in there tight. You can hear those creaking when they come out. Okay. Yeah, so basically, I really only need 3 chips, 3 of these IC chips to test the board to get it started anyways. I'll need my video chip, that PLA chip, and that CPU I just took out. The rest of these I can leave out and test the board and hopefully get less errors. Tight. I'm going to, see how this one's socketing, I'm going to pull this one, test it too, just because I can in the test board, just to verify if that's working or bad. Alright, that's all that I see that's socketed. Move this one out of the way. I think we'll set up our test board. Test board. Okay. As you can see, I did a lot of work on this one. I replaced all the capacitors, even in the RF regulator. Replaced my capacitors in there, replaced the main capacitors, and all the ones throughout the board. As you can see, this got the VIC2 squared mod on it, so I can use either NTSC or PAL with a flick of a switch. But it has the built-in modification for the what's that name? Help clear up the signal, but I'm actually getting a lot of interference with this on this board. I don't know why. I get a lot of jail bars when I start it up, so I'm probably going to remove this modification. It's real easy to remove. I'll put the crystal back in it, and I'll just put it back to a regular test board, because I even got these socketed under here, so it'll be easier to get to these if I just put it back to stock, and it'll be easier just for a test board. And I'll just install this on a different board when it's a little clearer. But I actually went through and I heat sinked all my chips just to try to save on the life of those. But let's unhook this keyboard. I don't need this. Let's just plug this in, make sure this one's working properly. I know you guys are not going to be able to see much of the screen. I had you mostly focused on the board where I'm going to be working. And that comes up. I don't know if even at the bottom of the screen you probably see a lot of the jail bars I get. It only seems to do it on this Dell monitor with this modification. When I plug this into the TV, it's not as noticeable. Which, I don't know. If that's a decoder or what that is, that's beyond me. But I don't like seeing this. It's okay when I play games, but that just looks horrible. Anyways, let's get some of these chips tested. Let's start with this little SIM4LS257, which is a U13 and a U25. I think they're a multiplexer. These pins are bent out. They haven't been used much. And that seems to start up okay. I'm going to just double check it on the U25. I'll just swap these. Put it down here. And that comes up. Okay, well that one works, so I'll set this one in a good pile. Start a good pile right here. Put my original back in. Try the video chip first. That's another reason I don't want to use this as a test board. This isn't really good to be in and out of this one. This kind of just hovers above the other board. I get nothing. Yep, black screen with that. Looks like video chip is not working. Set that aside. That's the bad pile. Put my original back in. Test it, make sure it's still working. Yep, okay. Most likely the video chip's bad. The sound chip, my U18, my SID, I'll have to probably do that last. I'll test that with a sound test with the cartridge. Let's try the PLA. That's another one I need. I only need 3 of these really to get it. I think it does already go over that. I'm going to need a video chip, a PLA, and a CPU. Everything else, I'm not that worried about. No signal, but black screen. Signal, but black screen. Yeah, that's usually one of the... That's almost a definite when you get a black screen, the PLA is gone. But it looks like my PLA and my video chip are gone. Not looking good. Let's double test. Try this again with my original back in, and it comes up. Okay. CPU. Let's check that. I do not believe I have a spare CPU. I do have spare... I have one video chip, and I have spare PLA planktons, which are aftermarket. I ordered from Canada, and SynSwids, aftermarket audio. So let's hope for the best on the processor. Pins are still bent outward a little bit. That's how they always come. And processor worked. Great. Put that in a good pile. Put mine back in. Test it real quick. It works. All right. 5. And that works. Good pile. You know mine worked. Let's try the kernel. This is 901227-03, so that's the most recent, I believe. And is the most up to date. And that works. Excellent. Now I'll probably have to go through and, when I get my test harness, and do a full test on a lot of these chips, but oops. But I'll at least get a quick dirty check on them. This is my character, I think. 22601. And that works. Orders and screen look okay. There we go. This good pile's growing bigger than the bad pile. Now for the CIA chips, they're the same exact chip, just depending on what socket you have them in is depending on what they take care of. Some are the cassettes, some are the I/O ports, some has to do with the cursor. I can't remember all of it, but I'm only going to test the one socket, both chips in the one socket, so There could still be something wrong with this that I wouldn't find out till later with the test harness, but just as a quick test, I don't have any immediate errors. Yeah, that popped up. Okay. Do a thorough one later. And other CIA. That one comes up. All right. All right, that's good. Let's get my mic in there. Sound chip. U18. Make sure my pins are bent in good. This one I'm going to have to test with a test cartridge. Let's use the 781220. Just a dead test cartridge. I know you guys aren't going to be able to see much of the screen, but I can tell you what's going on. And nothing yet. Alright, that did come up. Well, it should have. This is my test board, so that should have worked. It's running the screen RAM right now. Zero page okay, stack page okay, screen RAM. We gotta wait till the very end to do the sound test, but either we'll hear it or we won't. And again, the harness would give us a better accurate if the chip is good or not, because you may have sound but the X and Y pots on the SID may not work, which are what control like the paddles, or if you use a koala pad and the draw. And we're getting to the sound test now. It should come on momentarily, or it'll just reset and we won't have any sound. Oh, there we are. Well, that sounded good to me. Well, that's a relief. That chip alone was worth more than what I paid for the board. I won't need to let that go through again. Good. And we got quite a few good chips. 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8 out of 10. Back in. Alright, I think I'm done with the test board for now. Put this aside. Ouch. Alright, set this aside. So, I don't want to cook any of these. These are good chips. These are bad. So I'm going to need a video chip and a PLA, which I do have. So, another video chip, which is a 6567R8, which is what came out of it. Not that that would matter, just same version. And a PLA Plankton from Canada. These are great. So I'm going to set these in with the good chips. chip I'm going to set aside too. I don't want to damage that. That's expensive. They're hard to get a hold of anymore. So, all right. First thing I'm going to do is put that fuse in, and I think I'm going to check my regulators to see what I'm getting. I should get 5 volts here, 12 volts here, and I believe this is a 6 volt that runs the cassette motor, because that is a AP8206, so I'm thinking that's a 6 volt. So let's get our fuse in. I think we'll be okay with these damaged ceramic capacitors for right now. Plugging it in, I don't think that'll really do anything. Okay, and I noticed this bridge rectifier, I believe it was on Beta's channel. They spoke about this. As you can see, this one's lifted up off the board, and I think because these will get warm, this will allow for air cooling underneath it. Just from the thermodynamics, it'll the heat going up, bringing some air in, help cool it down. All the boards I've ever seen, this has always been flush to the board. That's the first I've seen of this lifted up like this. This board has been very interesting to me because it's been different. A lot of things have been different than what I'm used to seeing on a lot of the boards I've had, which isn't a bad thing. I love to look at it and just see these little differences. You can see just even with the modifications that were done at the factory, these little capacitors were, that's a resistor, this capacitor was added in, top side was just soldered in to help patch, to make revisions before the next revision, because this is a revision B. I think the test board I had is a revision C, so that's why it doesn't have these little modifications on it. But just interesting. I like to see that. Alright, well, let's check some voltages. I haven't plugged in a monitor yet. Let's just, okay, switches off, power, nothing smoking. Alright, let's give it some juice. No smoke. I don't smell anything. I don't smell anything. Okay, that's a good sign. Fuse didn't pop right away. Alright. Let's check some voltages. Kind of. I think you can see that. Alright, well, let's common ground. This should be my 5 volts. Channel 2 here. Yeah, 4.97. Okay, this should be my 12 volts. Channel 2, pin 2. 12.08. Okay. Well, let's test this other one just to make sure. Let's see. I think this is going to be 6 volts. Oops, wrong pin. This pin. 6.65 volts. 0.6. That seems kind of high. I might have to look into that one. I'll have to find out what that is, but I just won't use a cassette on that until I find out exactly what that's supposed to be at. Okay. voltages look kind of normal. As far as I know electronics background, so from what I've seen, this looks good. Let's get some chips in here and see what we see. All right. There's our CPU. Let's get that in there. Fits it tight. Let's get the multiplexer back in there. I know that one's good. Okay. I don't need a video chip. Yeah, I gotta get this guard out of here. It's kind of annoying. That went in crooked. Try that again. Let's get my pins lined up a little better. There we go. And the PLA. That's all I really need. Those three. So we get. I got signal coming through, but it's a black screen. Okay. Which I'm not surprised. Signal. Black screen. Okay, which could be anything in here. Could be any of these video support logic chips for the video, and it could be any of these. It could even be memory or support logic down here. The video chip is good. I know the PLA is good, and I know the CPU is good. So it's got to be one of these supporting chips. Let's get a dead test cartridge on this and see what we get. There's a 781220, just a dead test. Let's see what that says. Oh yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which as high as it can go is 8 anyways. 8. So this is a revision B, so 8. I'm looking at U21, which is a RAM chip. It's the first RAM chip on the lower level. We have extra chips here. So U21. What we can do with RAM chips is we can piggyback them. By piggybacking them, you're placing this on top of the other one. Doesn't always work, but sometimes it'll work. It'll bypass the bad chip, and the good chip will work. But you gotta bend your pins in just slightly to make sure they all contact and line up with the other pins on the chip that's socketed. You don't want these crossing or touching other pins. Then you might get a short, which would be bad. Okay, let's see what we get now. Well, it's still flashing, but we're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 or 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. 5 is U10, which is another RAM chip. My second RAM chip on the top. Might have some bad RAM chips here. You can tell if you keep it on, they'll get warm. They didn't leave it on long enough. So U10. one. Okay, looks like we got another one here. Let's see. One is U12. Another RAM chip. Wow, a lot of bad RAM chips. U12 is right here. Top row. Last RAM chip in top row. Now, these aren't always accurate. They give you a good indication of what's wrong. They're not 100% all the time. You can get false readings. So you gotta kind of use some experience, a little I won't say knowledge, but okay, that looks like it's lined up. 3 RAM chips bad so far. One. Maybe I don't have it on there right. Try a different one. So I'm gonna have some desoldering to do. So I'm gonna at least take out these 3 RAM chips, those capacitors, the shield. Those rectifiers are good, but I'll probably end up swapping those out when I redo all the caps on this too, because I'll redo the caps. Let's see, U12. Let's try this again. Okay, come on. Work for me. 1. Could be something else in this row. U12. Some RAM failures may cause dead test to display incorrect results. The majority of these will display a 1 flash code indicating a defective data bit. 7. If the associated RAM is replaced and results remain the same, real failure normally turns out to be a defective RAM IC associated with the data bits 0 or 1. And the flash codes are normally indicated of a data line being held either high or low, which would be one of these supporting ones. This is a clock, and the U8. What is my U8? Those I think hold the also high or low depending. U8 is a logic chip, my 7406 logic chip, and which would cause a blank screen, failure drive, resets. It's not present, but U20 could be the clock, which is a 556 logic timer, which could cause a blank screen. Computer will not reset or restore, or does not work. So even that could be setting it off. So there's a lot of stuff on here that'll cause a black screen. But just for fun, let's I have enough chips here. Let's piggyback all the RAM. See if we get any results. Doesn't mean this will work. I just, if I'm here, I might as well just give it a try. Okay. flashing? Oh, there's one. Still getting one flash code, but don't think it's all of these RAM chips. I do think there's bad RAM chips in here, but I don't think it's all of them. I'm not sure if piggybacking any of these others will work. Well, I'll start with, let's see, what did I have? I had U21. Please. U21. I had 5, which was U10. U12. So we'll start with those. I will replace those capacitors and get rid of the shield. And we'll see how we end up on time. Okay, let me get these RAM chips off. Get the heating iron, soldering iron heated up, and I'll get you resituated, and we'll work on that next. Alright, let's start with get these ceramic capacitors out first. It should be a simple placement here. Let's see here. Next to those. So it should be those 4. And yes, I'm adding solder to remove solder. If you haven't seen this done, it usually helps flow some of that old solder. Okay. In there. These traces can lift so easy. I don't want to apply too much heat for too long. Okay. I'll burn my fingers. Let's try with pliers here. Whoops. I don't want to grab too hard. I just Usually they come out easier than this. What am I doing wrong? Okay, that one's out. A little rough, but I think this board's seen worse, so I'm not that worried about it. Alright, try this one. There we go. Okay. Those are pretty bad. They were chipped right down into the inside. Look at that. Alright, those are bad. Now with the ceramic capacitors, you don't have to worry about polarity. Either way you put them in is fine. Let me just clean out these holes a little better. That's better. See, those holes are pretty clean. Okay. Leg and pin those out a little bit just to keep it from falling through. And the second one. Alright. Okay. A little bit more difficult working on this so you guys can try to see it than just doing it. And those are in. Much better. Okay. Well, I want to get this shield out of the way. This thing's just annoying me. So with this, I have a couple. Let's see. 4 of these tabs you gotta straighten out. And 4. And we have some large earth plane, some grounding points. This will take a little bit of heat, take a few times, for these to remove around the perimeter. These little posts. Not too bad. Oops. Hopefully I'm not blocking the shot too much for you guys. And this one. bubble. And it should be this one, last one. That should start to lift. There it is. Get under one corner here. So there we go. Shouldn't have any traces, but I still don't like reefing on it. Well, let's try to give me a little more solder. And you can see how big this ground plane is. It's just absorbing all of it. That's a big ground plane. Oops. I think that might have done it. I think that popped out now. It did. Excellent. So, we don't need this. And when we get it working, I'll put a heatsink on these major components anyways, because that's what that top shield did. It kind of helped dissipate some of the heat, but it just also trapped the heat in there, so it did no good. Alright, we have got to get U21, U10, and U12 out. Guess we'll start with, well, the first one we had bad was U21, it said. Let's start with that one. Okay, so let's mark the middle. I'll be doing these two rows here. And let's see how these pens work. It's that little flux. Woo! It's a lot of flux, but that's okay. These are the ones that make me the nervous because, oops, sorry about you guys. These traces can lift so easily. You don't need to use much heat. Even with all the ones I've done, I've still had to go back through and make patches. So I actually do have a desoldering gun, but it does not work well on these little pins. That one does not want to come out. The tip on it, actually I have different tips, but the smallest tip I have for it actually works better with bigger pins. So I usually end up using the this desoldering pump. It tends to work a little bit better. So you can get around that hole and seal it better when it sucks up the solder. I know this one did not. It's a little bit, but it's not. Alright, some people do different things. I'll go through and I will push on them a little bit to see if I can get them to spring back. Then you know that they've the solder has been released from it. These are kind of iffy. And these are not very. I'm gonna have to go back through on these. See, I don't know if you can tell on that one. See how that one springs back? That one's good. Give it a little push and springs. You can tell it's free. That one's not too bad. Not bad. This side isn't too bad. The other side, that one is not. That one's good. So let's give it a little bit of solder. This one I think. This one I definitely need it. Let's do this whole side again. Yeah, let's do all of them. Sometimes just some fresh solder will just what you need. I'm going to let that cool down a little bit. That's a lot of heat. Actually, let's IPA. On that one. This one's on a ground plane. That's probably why I'm having trouble with this one. Alright, that one cleaned out a little better. That moved a little better. moving. Hopefully you guys can see. Not real happy on this one, but we'll give it a try. Cool it down a little bit again. Yeah, I can see a lot of solder along the top here on this top side too. I don't think this is going to come loose right away. No. Still soft, I can feel it pulling, but I'm afraid to pull a trace. Yep, it looks like this one's already pulling a trace on the top here. But that looks like it is only a, doesn't look like a through. I'm not too happy with this job I'm doing here. This is not good. This is not one of my prouder jobs. I'll have to look on the back side. There's nothing connected on this, on the upper one, but what I would like to get is a hot air desoldering station. You can just blow hot air on the top of this and lift. That works well. I've seen it done, but I don't know how much that would be. I don't know if I would use it enough. Left-handed here. All right. And she's out. Not pretty. Not pretty at all. Need some holes. That should still be okay. This one didn't seem to have anything on the top. I'll check the bottom. That's pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 16. So it'll be, yeah, it's a ground plane on this side, so it should be alright. This one lifted, but there's nothing there. This one has a little bit left. Nothing, nothing. A little bit. I gotta clean out some of these holes too. Yeah, some of these, they all lifted, but they're not connected to any traces. No. Other thing I will do is test this RAM chip in the other board to see if it's good or not. Fix the pins a little bit here. Clean out some of that solder. And we'll find out if this is even a bad chip. Go right back in there if it's not. Of course, I'll put a socket in. Oh, I did not. This is not good. Not too proud of that one. That one was a little rough. Let's see the slide of blobs. There's one of the traces too. just a via hole. I don't know what you can call those. Okay. Let's get that in from the bottom again. And we'll have to use a multimeter and test those. Make sure, once I get the socket in, make sure those are good. Yeah, they're pretty good. This one maybe yeah, that's a trace there. I'm gonna have to scrape back and get some solder to catch that. That one is not good. Well, let's test this one. Let me plug in this one real quick. My test machine. I'll test the memory chip on this one. Just pop one out. Doesn't really have to be the same exact one. Let's see if we get any errors. Okay. Plug it in. Let's get the legs lined up. It does not like that one. Get a black screen with that one. Let me try it in another. Socket here. Nothing. Black screen. I get a signal but black screen. I'm pretty sure that memory chip is non-functional. So that dead test, I believe, was correct. Yeah, because when I put my other one back in, it works. That's going to get added to the bad test. Bad chips. I need a socket. And this is a, I guess that's 16 pin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 16 pin. Okay. I will use that to help. 16 pin. Actually, I got a ton of 8 pins. I can use 2 8-pins just to use up some of these smaller ones. So, I keep dropping everything today. Let's see here. So, I want to face them this way. This way. Set that on there. I'm using two 8-pins to fill up the 16-pin. What I do is I usually use, doesn't always have to be a bad chip, but it helps line up these pins and stiffen them up. Otherwise they're real flimsy to till I get it soldered in. Then they just take out the other chip. So we'll get that in. I got all the pins cleaned out pretty good. All the holes. Okay, that fit in snug, but it fit in. Okay, well, let's get that soldered in. Some of these that are missing those metal hole throughs does not want to stick to it. Do our best to get it to grab whatever it can. Oof. I might be putting some bodge wires on this. Sorry for blocking the view. So yeah, should be up. So this should be 1, 2, 3. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good. That one either. Let's see where these go to. Okay, well, let's do some continuity testing. It's the only way to find out. Get the old bad chip out. I'm going to put that away. Let's see here. Continuity. Wires are all tangled. Okay. Continuity. Let's start pin 1 and work our way down. Okay, pin 1. Where does pin 1 go? There's pin 1. So and pin 1 goes to anything. And schematics too, right? I don't think pin goes to anything on any of these RAM chips. So that may not matter. Pin 2. Pin 2. Those. Two touch anything. Pin 3, follow this trace. Pin 3, I think follows this trace. Getting quite a glare too. It's tough to. I think. Yeah, pin 3 goes there, so that has continuity. Pin 4 doesn't look like it goes anywhere on bottom. 5, 6, 7 to go anywhere. This is a ground. Huh. So that's connecting. 9 looks like it goes nowhere on the bottom. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 follows this trace up. So that's connecting. 15 doesn't look like it goes anywhere, and 16 looks like a ground. Okay, let's check the tops. Looking at one next to it, 1 doesn't do anything. 2, 3 we already knew went somewhere. 4. Looks like these might come over to here. Those are all connecting. I don't know about these though. It's connected. These are the ones that didn't really seem to go anywhere. That's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13, where do you go? Hmm. doesn't seem to go anywhere either. 13 and 14. 13, 14. 14 goes on the bottom, that's why. 13 doesn't seem to go anywhere. Same on the one next to it. Nothing for 13. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 goes nowhere. There's nothing connected. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13's right here. That looks like it might shoot over and up to this one. So 13. It's underneath. There is a trace that goes to this one. I'm not getting anything on this one. So we're just misleading. Might have to pull up the schematics and look at it, but 13's the only one I have that's questionable. Everything else seems to either have continuity or goes nowhere. And I can put in a good known chip in that one. Okay. There's U21, U10, and U12. Okay. Let's do U10 first, I guess. Okay. Let's hope this one goes a little better. Say it yet, but the holes seem to be clearing out a little bit better than the first one. Okay. This one needs a little bit more. We'll lift you on that one. This one looks a little clogged. That one looks like it's burning off my trace. This is not going well. But I am determined to get this board working. And lifted some of those. Let me try just this. These be moving okay, but it just takes that little bit to catch and pull a trace. There it is. It's wiggling. That pop always makes me nervous. And I broke the chip. Which happens, but most likely this one was bad anyways. Yeah, I think I got it too hot. That's what happens. You pop the ceramic on it to make it easier getting out, but it could have been a good chip, but I doubt it. Good chance that one was bad anyways. Clean up a few of these yet. Alright, that one a little bit better, even though I broke the chip. Again, the ones that don't seem to go anywhere, those rings come out real easy. That one looks like it's going to need to be touched up. Trace. Be a trace. All right, another 16. I'll use another 2 8s. This again for a piece. Fit. We'll get a couple on. Okay. Corners, get that held on there. Try to flow that down to the top, so if there is a trace it'll catch it. It's actually a little embarrassing for how bad this one's been going so far. But I get this working, it's going to be worth it in the end. So I caught the trace, but it really isn't doing much on that pin. Okay. So, this one. So one really didn't have anything. Two didn't really go anywhere, I don't think. Did it? Too weird. I lose track of those so easy. Yep, 2 goes there. 3 had nothing. On the bottom, 4 nothing, 5, 6, and this should be a ground. Okay. Or I don't know if it's ground or power. This one, same thing. Okay. This one goes to here. Okay. Nothing on the bottom for these. Check the tops. Okay. Get the bad one out. And so 1 went to nothing. 2 went anywhere. 3. 4. 8, okay. That's the 13, isn't it? 12, 13 goes to 13. 14 is the one that goes. I don't know where. I don't think that goes anywhere. 15 and 16. Where it is. I don't see anything coming out of 14. Don't think that's used. Alright, I can put a good chip in that one. 2, and we need U12, which is that one next to the resistor. It's right here. These two lines here. All right, let's hope for the best, like we just had on that one. Flux on here might help. Okay. It wouldn't even hurt to skip every other pin and then go back through. Probably actually would be a good idea, just so you can build up so much heat in one area. Okay. I just feel like they're bending over, they're not springing back. Clean that tip off a little better. Do for a new tip. That one worked. Yeah, I have to go back through on these. It's not too bad. Yep, that trace came off too, I can see it. That's that pin 1 again. Iron might just be way too hot for this, or this board is just too old and too beat to be working on it. I wish I had an iron that I could adjust the heat level a little better on. Yep, it's doing the same thing on every one of these. It's just, my iron might be too hot. I'm sure somebody will be yelling at me about a better way to do this. Kind of moving, they're not real loose. Okay, let's see what we can see. 12. Not too hot. That's it, came out nice. And it actually came out the best out of all of them. test this one too, so the last one gave me an error, I know that. I got a very good test out of that one. Test this one quick. And actually hoping no. This way I'm taking these out for a reason. Black screen. Signal but black screen. So yes, I believe that one is no good either. Should I say neither? Try my original back in, and it works. So yes, I do believe this one is bad also. Alright. Well, let's continue doing the... Use this again. I don't think I've been saying it, but probably most of you know that, as you can see on the board here, this little notch at the very top, you'll see it at the top of these sockets, and you'll see it here on the chips and on the silkscreen printing. That tells you what way the chip goes. That's the top. So didn't clean this one out, so I'm hoping it goes right in. Yeah, got right in. Good. Alright, get some solder around the corners of this. Just get it on a few that I know. Looks like he's missing a bunch too. Yeah. So we'll have to double check the continuity on a lot of these again anyways, even if it doesn't work right away. Take out this bad one. And I'll put in a good one. I guess we could try it on the test bench and see if we still get the same results. Let's see. Get those three, right? U21, U10, U12. Yep, let's give it a try. Set you back up on the other side here. Okay, got it set up. I know you guys aren't going to be able to see much of the monitor, but I'm just going to give it a test anyways. And we get signal, but black screen still. Alright. I am not surprised by that. I guess we'll do the dead test again. Let's see if this gives us anything different. Last time we were stuck on one. We get a few here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that was our first error code, which was our U21. I could try a different chip, or it could be one of these other in this row. Let me try a different chip. Last time I tested these were all good, so. Of course, that could be my bad patch job too. I didn't think about that. I may have to go back through check the schematics and make sure I have all the right connections. Ooh, that could be what it is. Huh. Well, that's something different. What would that be? That looks like it's trying to run in the background. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, I can see stuff. You probably can't see it. You can see them changing up here where it usually says 0 page and everything else. I'll try to turn this off, turn it back on, see if we get the same thing. Signal. Put a black screen. Oh, there it comes. It's like the dead test is trying to work, but I'm still not convinced that my traces aren't, something might not be boogered on that. I'll go through and test those again. Actually, I might do that now. I'll just try another memory chip, because that only changed when I changed out the memory chip. Let's try that. Let's see, this is the one I put in. I just got a black screen. Sure, got a good connection. Signal. I'm getting the same thing. So it's not the memory chip. Could be the bad trace. But I'm going to have to look into this one in case the traces, in case those are all connected properly. It could be something else, obviously, but we're getting there. We're getting there. I think I'm going to end it here. This has probably been a long video already. I'll look into this and we'll come back to it. Probably a part 3 then. And thanks for stopping by.